not say anything controversial. Their TA coming in. You want him here?
Hey man, we're live. Okay, I'm watching my language and everything.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you guys want to put your headphones on and hear what we're talking, people on Facebook can hear us, but we're not on the air just yet.
Okay.
And this is the, because they can hear all this, I just want them to know, this is what we call the Nacho Special Countdown right here.
That looks good to me.
Nacho Special Countdown.
I'm gonna get the good spot here.
Okay.
I went to the eye doctor.
This is the favorite part of my job, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is the Nacho Special.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing, by the way.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm going to be dedicated to this thing.
I went to the eye doctor yesterday. This morning I woke up, I couldn't see at all.
Oh, my gosh.
I went back this morning, I still can't see. So I'm wearing glasses. I got contacts in. I guess I'm in an adjustment period.
Well, it's a good thing we're on the radio. Well, of course, we are being videoed as well.
I've never been to an optometrist.
Yeah.
This is my first time.
Yeah. Do you hear me okay?
I hear you very well.
I hear you very well. Yes. We can give TA an opportunity to talk about his misadventures on his flights and airports.
Yeah, well, I didn't know this was really a thing. I've heard of it, but a flight being oversold.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how you do that exactly. They know how many seats are on that plane, and so you just sell that number of seats, not that plus that 17 or something like that. But I guess there's some sort of margin that they allow for that they believe those passengers will not show up or whatever.
And it's hard to believe that would also occur during a pandemic.
Yes, And as a matter of fact, at our gate, 2 flights had been oversold significantly, which made for a lot of anxiety in a small area right there. You had a lot of people upset, understandably.
Thank you, Rob. Good to see you.
But Donna and I, we were traveling with another couple, our friends, Monica and Dax Rucker, and we were at their house in Florida. So they got to get on the plane, and we did not. And they had Donna's suitcase. They took it with them to put in their overhead bin, and so the flight leaves with Donna's suitcase, and there we are, and we ended up having to just stay. They put us in a hotel room, and we got on the flight the next morning and got back. So not a disaster,
Yeah.
but an experience.
Wow. You heard from the counselor?
No,
Okay, I haven't either.
but I haven't heard that he's not coming.
Right. Yeah, I think he would have let us know. He may be talking to a jury right now.
Could be. So yeah.
Okay, need to put this closer. Okay.
There you go.
How's that?
That's much better.
Is that going to work out much better? I hear him fine,
Yes, but not you.
but not me.
Closer to your mouth.
Okay. Yes.
That's better.
Does that sound like a winner right there?
That's good.
Almost a chicken dinner. I'd settle for one of those nachos.
I cannot let you do that to yourself.
Trying to put him on a guilt trip.
Yeah. He's not responding.
Not responding.
Junior, come on now.
You know better to get between Junior and food.
Well, we had an interesting slate of games last Friday night.
Third week in a row we have one team win.
I know. I noticed that.
We need to do better.
We got to get in sync.
We definitely do.
Poor Wills Point. They're in a bad way.
Boy band into this.
What's that?
Why are you bringing a 90s boy band into this?
I didn't.
You need to get in sync.
Oh,
I forgot what I even said in the last sentence. I couldn't get that joke. I'm sorry.
it's okay. I didn't
Yeah.
follow. I didn't follow that either.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in a bad way, and I talked to some of the Canton coaches. I guess they may have seen some film or something like that, and they've lost a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Is really what it boils down to. And that's the reality of it is that hurts, and it has an effect on things.
Grant Saline has got some low numbers right now too.
That's what I hear. Gosh.
19 suited up last Friday night.
And that wasn't really due to graduation necessarily, was it?
No, I think there's just some issues over there, but
Borderline mutiny.
yeah,
Is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
When Ridge left.
yeah. I think that's accurate.
Yeah. I hate that. For the
But-
kids.
Well, yeah, and I hate that for Coach Drennan
Yeah.
because it's not his doing.
No. And he'll be fine. He knows what he's doing. He'll
Yeah.
get that built back up, but when there are no kids there, it's tough.
Is that our man there?
The counselor's here.
The counselor has arrived. We are fully staffed.
I knew he'd be here.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
No, I just got here.
Yeah. He told us we were live when we got here.
Yeah, we are live. So,
So watch what you say.
right. No coarse joking. Not that you would.
It's day to day.
You're top class all the way. You wouldn't do that, I know. Well,
It was the top of the bottom of the class.
good to be first at something.
That's right.
I was the bottom of the top of the class.
Is that what we're going with?
So, any news around the county on high school football? And we don't want to disclose anything before the show gets started.
No, of course not.
But
No.
um,
I mean, it's no secret that after 18 games involving Van Zandt County teams, we're 3-15. Right?
that's got to turn around.
We got to get that turned around.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that's just that's just we're going to have a major correction with that going on in the last 3/4 of the season.
And there are some teams. I can't hear me.
Yeah, you're not on.
He's on one.
Oh, he's on one. Okay. And what about now?
You hear?
I hear y'all loud.
Okay. We don't hear Joel.
Turn that one.
Okay. All right.
How about now?
You're
now.
quiet.
Nope. I'm here. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
All right,
There we go.
I'm in now.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Let's look here.
while we were calling the game Friday night in Caddo Mills, of course, we knew our friend the counselor was down there, and were you listening?
I wasn't. I was.
Okay.
I didn't realize y'all were on my side of the field. I would have come down there. I just and I got so zoned in. I stopped.
I know.
So where'd
we
you
knew
set
did.
up?
We were in the stands on the visitor side.
You were in the stands.
In the stands, among our people, which is where we like it.
Well, another radio station nearby who was at the Van Lindale game, they got put on top of the press box.
Well, that's not unusual. In fact, I like that setup up there. If the weather's nice, I do.
Yeah, and it was nice weather the other night.
But we got to sit among the Canton fans. I mean, right in the middle of the Canton fans, and we're able to interact with them, kind of get the energy of the crowd. And I didn't know if Joel was listening or not, so we kept referring to him and talking to him to come up there and say something to us, and he wasn't listening.
Occasionally, I would turn it on to see if I could see a replay to see if something was different than my eyes saw, but I never did turn the volume on, and you know, that was a wild game.
It was a wild game.
It was a.
We're gonna have some time to talk about that. I enjoyed it.
Do we want to open with Edgewood since they won and had the 4 overtimes?
Yes. I talked to the Edgewood boys today, so I've got some stuff on that.
Okay, good.
Apparently they had a good time over there in Redwater. Where's Redwater?
I looked at that last week when you were.
Oh, I know where Bluffdale is. That's who Fruitvale played the other night. I know where that is now.
Where is that?
Erath County. Stephenville is the county seat.
Okay. Over in that area.
Yeah,
Redwater would be like east.
I think so.
Okay. I don't know if they. Let's see.
It's
They were
2 hours from here is what it's saying. So it's a hike
No, nothing for me.
or a drive too. So
I failed to look at their record and see.
Redwater.
Yeah. To see what they were going in. Edgewood was
Yes.
looking for their first win, but
Let's say Redwater was.
does it say?
They were 1-1. They had beaten New Diana 28-0, and they had lost to Ore City 21-18. And then I want to hear how the scoring happened in those overtimes. I mean, they finished at 45-43. What was it at the end of regulation?
21 all.
So they scored more in
They
overtime.
doubled their. And it was told to me, but I can't remember it. I mean, it was the sequence was told to me. I
Well,
know
of course,
Edgewood
you
got the
have
ball
to go
first.
for 2 starting with the third overtime.
That's right, and that came into play.
Yeah.
And man, the Edgewood Bulldog radio guys, I've never seen them as excited about a game as they were this one. A win.
And I was reminded last night that it was 10 years ago that Jacksonville and Nacogdoches had 12 overtimes.
Wow. Hadn't heard that.
And that score was like 84-82 or something like that.
That reminds you that wasn't it A&M one time that had a game that
Yeah, well, LSU and A&M 2 years ago played 7 overtimes
Yeah.
in College Station.
was crazy.
I remember that. Sean and I were on our way back from
Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
The band was playing Splendora that night.
Splendora. That
That's
was
right.
the name. We called that
Yeah.
game. Yes.
Yes.
That was a fun night.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than betting the under and having 12 overtimes or something.
Yeah.
Just never going to hold.
That's just not going to work.
Oh, no. Edgewood's got an interesting story going on over there. The sophomore quarterback, Hayden
8
Wilcoxon.
minutes or 8 seconds? Minutes.
8 minutes.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, when you've got a young quarterback going through the growing pains that entails, but knowing that he's talented and there's some talent around him, albeit young, there's some excitement that kind of surrounds things. And I think that's what they've got going over there, I believe.
Well, Van's opponent, Pittsburgh, Friday night, has had an eventful season already. I'll get into that later.
What's their record?
They're 0-2. Actually, they're 0-1.5.
Oh.
Because
don't give it away.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that's it. We'll tease that.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I don't know.
But their record is, you can argue, is 0-1.5, not 0-2.
I don't know the story behind that. Do you?
I don't.
So, all right. Stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I can talk about this without really getting into the meat of any of the teams, for that matter. But we're talking about Canton and the transitive property. My dad is a math teacher, professor, whatever. He's a math guru. So the transitive property, seeing how one team played against a team previously and having common opponents, sometimes the second derivative, well, this team played that team, and then that team played this team, and this is what happened. So this week, Canton and Maybank played. So last week, Canton played Caddo within 10 points.
Okay.
And then if you look at Caddo previously played Bullard and beat Bullard 61-7. So we're playing Maybank. So if you go back and look at Maybank got beat by Bullard. So you would think, wow, okay, Canton should have a really easy time this week. Not so much. There's another transitive property that changes that.
Okay. I'm interested.
There's been some Mineola games in the mix. So back in week 1, Mineola beat Canton by 16. And then in week 2, Mineola beat Wills Point by 31. So then if you look at Wills Point and Maybank,
It was 42-0.
Wills Point lost to Mineola about the same that we did. So, just when you look at one, you think, oh, man, this is going to be a pretty good week. And then you look at it, well, Bullard, that was the first week of the season.
Right.
So things have changed since then. So
the Bullard and the Wills Point thing contradict each other.
Right. Yeah. When you first look at it with Caddo, because Caddo's good. I mean, they are. That quarterback is a baller. And,
oh my.
And and then Bullard, to have gotten beat like that by Caddo, and then to come on and or to have played that well in the other game, the things just one week doesn't add up to the next week. And I think it's early enough in the season to where you can look at records from one game to the next. Because if you think about how we played against Mineola, we're a different team now.
Yes.
And I mean, just our mechanics, Brisboe alone throws the ball different this week than he did 3 weeks ago.
He seems different.
And I'm sure if you look at how Caddo played week 1, it's going to be different than now. Same thing with Bullard and Maybank. But, it's just fun to look at those games and try to figure out how this one's going to compare to the next one. And
it is.
Now, on a totally different subject, I heard something about Tom Brady the other day.
Yeah.
When he lost Sunday, I believe they said that was only the 4th time in his career he's lost on opening day. Guess what happened the 3 previous times he lost on opening day?
I bet he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Tampa Bay, the fans are so excited about that. We'll see.
On the flip side, New England ended the first quarter last week for the first time in, I think, 13 years without scoring a point in the first quarter. It was some crazy statistic like that they finished the first quarter with no points on the board. And that's even when they were playing in snowstorms and all kinds of stuff. They still put points on the board.
Wow.
And don't let me forget to talk about Javonte Thomas for Van.
Okay.
Throwing touchdown, running touchdown, receiving touchdown. He's done that twice in 3 weeks.
He did that in the
first game against Palestine, and he did against Lindale the other night.
That's a record.
A lot of guys don't even do that in a career.
No, that's a record of some kind.
And he's done it twice in 3 weeks.
Does he return punts?
No, but they have.
He might now.
Well,
that's a kid you don't take off the field.
I have a feeling that they're saving him for that when district starts. I think they're going to increase his workload when district starts.
What an athlete. I can remember calling their playoff game against. Would this have been Athens?
Yeah, that's when Jaden
Yes.
broke his collarbone.
Yes. And watching Javante play as a sophomore and thinking,
Oh, yeah.
that kid's got something going on.
Yeah.
Even at that time, that was 2 years ago.
If he stays healthy, he's going to, in my opinion, break several season records at Van so far as receiving yardage, touchdowns, and like I said, don't rule him out doing the trifecta again before the season ends.
Or make it a quad if he returns a punt.
Yeah, if he returns a punt for a touchdown.
Run, throw, catch, and return.
Yeah.
That kid's a good basketball player too.
Yes.
He's multi-talented.
Straight A student in the classroom. Outstanding kid.
Yeah, good thing he's got a little something going for him. Just a couple of things.
A few.
2 minutes. We just got our 2-minute warning.
2 minutes.
2-minute warning.
That means all replays come from the booth.
I see Mr. Driscoll in the back over there.
Yeah. He turned in his contest entry.
No more remarks about Fruitvale.
You know, I've decided that I'm just going to own it. I live there, and you know, somebody's going to have to complain to me in Fruitvale where I live.
Yeah.
So I'm easy to find.
Oh well. Everybody loves the counselor, though.
You know, when I started school at Fruitvale, you couldn't. When I was in kindergarten, you couldn't graduate from Fruitvale at that time.
Right.
They started the year before I started school. The kids that were in 8th grade started 9th grade, and then that class made it all the way through, and it was the first class to graduate high school there.
You know,
I
Martins
didn't
Mill
know
was the
that.
same way for a number of years. In fact, going back to way back, my parents went to school at Martins Mill all the way through 11th grade, but they had no 12th grade at Martins Mill. They had to go to Van to finish up. So their diplomas
Really?
are from Van, and they were only there 1 year.
My dad did. Fruitvale had a graduation ring that said 1961. Either way you turned it, and that was his 8th grade year. And then he and a guy named W.A. Daniels went to Grant Saline, and the rest of the class went to Edgewood.
Yeah.
And I think when I started at Fruitvale, he intended for me to go through 8th grade, and then when they made it to where it was through high school, he pulled me over to Grant Saline where he was coaching. And the first year that I attended Grant Saline was the first year they went to the playoffs when Dad was coaching.
So in what year were you? What was your first year in Grant
here we
Saline? Oh, okay, we got to go.
Here we go.
15 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to go Edgewood first.
Yeah, we'll go Edgewood first. Hello and welcome to another edition of Hump Day Huddle, your number one source for football information in Van Zandt County. I'm David Barber, Van Zandt News sports correspondent, pleased to be joined by T.A. Hale from the Buzz Brothers and the counselor Joel Elliott, along with engineer Ken. And look forward to talking about the Van Zandt County football results from last Friday night. But before we get into that, gentlemen, I want to give T.A. a chance to comment anything he would like to say about his travel mishaps from last week, since he wasn't able to be here last Tuesday night.
Well, I regret that I was not here. Of course, I missed you. I missed y'all.
We missed you.
The show was great. I listened to it, so you didn't miss me much. That hurt my feelings a little bit. But overselling flights is a thing. I've never experienced that, but apparently American Airlines, if there are 100 seats on the flight, they will sell more than 100. And so you got to hustle to the counter and complain a lot if you find that it's being oversold. That's what I found out is we didn't make enough noise. Donna and I should have thrown a bigger fit because there were people in front of us that threw bigger fits, and they all got on. And instead, we had to spend the night in Tampa Bay. So that's the moral of the story there. I'm glad to be back.
Did you run into Tom Brady on the trip?
No, but
you
a
didn't?
lot of people are excited about Mr. Tom Brady there
Yeah.
in that neck of the woods.
Okay.
So
All right.
But you couldn't find any jerseys with his name on it, could you?
you could find
There weren't
a few.
any?
Could find a few.
All right, well, gentlemen, let's get into our conversations about our Van Zandt County football teams. And for the third week in a row, we have one team that won in the county, and this time it was the Edgewood Bulldogs coming through in exciting fashion. 4 overtimes. Edgewood 45, Redwater 43. TA, I know you've had a chance to talk to some of the Edgewood folks about that exciting finish.
Oh yes, and they were at Redwater and looking for their first win of the season. The Bulldogs went in 0-2, a young Bulldog team as we've talked about, and they got into a dogfight. At halftime, Edgewood led 21-15, and so in the second half, Edgewood was held scoreless because the end of regulation, the score was 21-21. And apparently that's where the offensive explosion took place, because they then proceeded to more than double the score. And I've talked with my buddies from Edgewood about this. They told me the sequence that it all happened and the various 2-point plays that had to happen and all of that stuff. I can't recall exactly, but Edgewood did get the ball first in the first overtime period. So you're kind of having to hold serve when you're in that position. And then, David, as you said earlier, once you get into the third overtime period, you have to go for two.
Yes.
It makes it a little more interesting. So the Bulldogs, of course, the two teams traded scores back and forth, and then when they got to the third period, both scored, both converted the 2 points, and then in the fourth overtime, Edgewood scored, converted the 2 points. Redwater answered, but then the Bulldog defense stuffed them on a middle run on the 2-point conversion and won the game on that. And so the Edgewood Bulldogs got their first win. Hopefully, picked up some confidence, some momentum going forward to next week. And as we said earlier, that's a young team, and sometimes wins like that can really affect them in a powerful way.
Oh, yeah.
It can go either way. Kind of a funny story. This game was full of turns and twists and so forth. On Edgewood's first score of the football game, they lined up to kick a field goal, and the holder, I forget his name now, Paul texted it to me, but the holder bobbled the snap. Let me see what his name was. I need to say that young man's name. That was Clayton Cobble. Clayton Cobble. Okay, he's the holder. Bobbled snap, so he picks it up and he runs. He scrambles. He avoids tackler, scrambles around, and finally finds an open Hudson Tyner at the goal line. Throws it to him. Tyner in, 2-point conversion, good. All right, we got away. That's great. Okay, so the game was over to an overtime game, obviously tied at the end of regulation. Well, after the game is over, they're kind of thinking about that play. The only thing wrong with that play is that Hudson Tyner was the deep snapper, not an eligible receiver.
Oh, my gosh.
This is not six-man football. Yeah.
Not an eligible receiver. However, he's their leading receiver on the team, wearing number 17.
Just expected it.
Didn't look strange at all to the officials when he winds up with the ball and scores.
He should have been more open, though.
Now, can you imagine the Redwater coaches watching film that next morning? Wait a minute, he's not eligible. So that was just another crazy thing that happened in that game.
Wow.
And I love that. The boys at Edgewood Bulldog Radio apparently had a great time calling this game. One of them told me, Eric told me, it's one of those games that you just hope you get once a year. And this is a big win for the Bulldogs. I've got some stats to go over here. Sophomore quarterback Hayden Wilcox, and I'm hearing nothing but great things about him. He was 4 of 13, only 57 yards, but scored a touchdown. Rushing, he was the leading rusher on 19 attempts, 115 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then you had Nate Sims carried it 14 times, 79 yards, 1 touchdown, and then Taylor Turner, 9 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. The leading receiver, Hudson Tyner, 3 catches, 42 yards, and a touchdown. And a lot of that scoring came in overtime, by the way, as you might know. But the Bulldogs did a great job pulling that off. And what that does is that sets them up for a chance to win back-to-back now, and against an old familiar foe, and that's the Lone Oak Buffaloes. They have. I feel like we've talked about them playing the Lone Oak Buffaloes every year on this show, David.
Yes.
They've been in the same district.
That's right.
For a long time, and it's no secret that these two teams have a special place in one another's heart, you might say. Lone Oak has struggled a little bit this year. They're also young. I understand they have a sophomore quarterback. They're going through some growing pains on offense, apparently, but they're pretty good on defense. So that game is in Edgewood, I.T. James Memorial Stadium, and Edgewood will be looking to string together back-to-back wins there, heading into district after this week. Also, this week is homecoming in Edgewood. Jewel, do you know how many homecoming games I played in my high school years? More than
this
you.
Sounds like a trick question.
It's a trick question, but I remember this because I think we may have been y'all's basketball homecoming at one time. Is
people lined us up for homecoming like crazy.
Oh, okay.
I played about 17 homecoming games, Ken.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
Between my sophomore and junior year, I saw more mums and homecoming dresses. Yeah, I played a lot of those. But yeah, so homecoming in Edgewood. And the Bulldogs trying to get back-to-back. And as we talked about earlier, there's this belief that team is going to be better and better each week. And by the time they reach the end of the season, it's playoff time. That young quarterback is going to have had a lot of experience, and they're looking for good things out of this team. So pretty exciting stuff going on over there in the Edgewood locker room, I think.
Let me ask you a quick question, not to put you on the spot,
Okay.
but I'm curious about these homecomings this year with the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes.
How are they handling that at Edgewood this year?
That's the first time I've thought about it, David. I don't know.
And
I don't
Canton's,
know.
I believe, is next week, or pretty close.
I guess they'll
Next
just
week.
It would be fair. I think Ferris is next week.
Yeah, I was going to say Canton does have their homecoming next week, and of course, I'm sure all of our other schools have got their homecoming schedule. I'm just curious to see how they pull these off.
You would have the tendency to have more fans in the stadium, more attendance. So that's a bit of a problem you'd have to deal with.
Yeah.
But as far as just the ceremony itself, the participants, you could observe social distancing pretty easily as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have not heard of. I've not even thought about that.
Okay.
So we shall see.
All right. Well, let me mention a little bit about the Fruitvale Bobcats before we go into our first break. The Fruitvale Bobcats were at home against another group of Bobcats from Bluffdale, which I found out Bluffdale is in Erath County, where Stephenville is the county seat of Erath County.
Okay.
But another tough night for Fruitvale. They lost 28-16. Obviously more competitive in this game than they were the previous 2 weeks. Great individual performance turned in by Jeremiah Corley. He had 94 yards rushing and 60 yards receiving. So he was a busy man Friday night for the Fruitvale Bobcats. They're going to be back at home. We mentioned they're in the middle of a 6-game homestand to open the season. They've got the Longview Heat coming to town, to Fruitvale.
Okay.
It is my understanding that the Longview Heat is a homeschool team made up, obviously, of a group of kids from the Longview area. Later on this season, they will be playing the Tyler Heat, which is a group of kids from the Tyler and Lindale areas that homeschool. And
I think they played them
last year for homecoming.
Yeah.
So interesting matchup here with the Longview Heat coming to Fruitvale Friday night, and hopefully maybe the Bobcats can get in that win column for the first time this season.
I sure hope so.
I hope so too. Well, guys, we're going to head into our first break and talk about some of our sponsors and TA, and then we're going to have a drawing. Engineer Ken has just indicated to us with his motions, if I read his hand motions correctly, that we are going to have a drawing. Do you want to do that now or wait? Okay, we're going to do it after we talk about some of our sponsors. And TA, again, not to put you on the spot, I don't know if you have the Friday night sponsors for Canton football, but while you're looking that up, in the meantime, I want to recognize these sponsors, and we thank them for being a part of Hump Day Huddle with us this season. We want to recognize Wills Point Chevrolet at 903-873-2561, located at 660 Houston Street in Wills Point. We're brought to you by Legacy Ag Credit, financing your legacy, financing for rural land, country homes, operating capital, farms and ranches, livestock and equipment, 903-567-2251. We're brought to you by Exit Realty Pro at 1445 South Buffalo in Canton, 903-567-7777. We're brought to you by Higginbotham Brothers at 221 Texas Highway 243 in Canton, 903-567-4077. We're brought to you by Wills Point Ford. What matters to you matters to us. 618 Houston Street, Wills Point, 903-873-2511. We're brought to you by M Squared Management, Property Management and Rentals, 1435 South Buffalo Street in Canton, 903-502-0202. We're brought to you by Taylor Automotive, 27928 Highway 64, 903-567-3948. And we're brought to you by the Legacy Dental Group, family dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, oral surgery, orthodontics, sedation dentistry, 240 East Highway 243 in Canton, 903-508-2923. And TA, I know you have some Friday night Canton Eagle broadcast sponsors you want to recognize.
I do, and I hope this is the most up-to-date list. If I leave anyone out, I'm sorry. They don't trust me with this on Friday night, so Mike has the master list. So I see Junior shaking his head over there. Big shout-out to the Silver Spur Resort, which is where we are now.
Absolutely.
At the Q and Brew, featuring a wedding venue, KOA campground, Q and Brew restaurant, escape room, and more. The Silver Spur Resort is located on 35 acres just minutes from First Monday Trade Days. Durham's Roost, the resort's bed and breakfast, is now open from Thursday to Monday to host vendors and guests of the Trade Days. Wills Point Ford and Wills Point Chevrolet, the only locally owned car dealership servicing Van Zandt County and beyond for over 30 years. Whether you're looking for a Ford or a Chevy, Wills Point Ford and Wills Point Chevrolet invites you to come do business with their family. First State Bank of Ben Wheeler, a true Texas community bank, owned and operated since 1911. Their mission is to always provide superior service because this is home, and home is where we strive to make a difference. To Brookshire's, for quality, convenience, and service, visit your local Brookshire's. Low-price produce, hand-cut meat, and easy meal solutions. Check out their online shopping, curbside pickup, and drive-through prescription services. Those are just some of the great services they offer customers every day. And finally, all-around AC heating and refrigeration. Family-owned with a satisfaction guarantee and flat rate pricing. All Around AC has a reputation for integrity unmatched in East Texas. allaroundac.com. And a big thank you to all our sponsors for supporting our high school teams. We couldn't do it without you.
All right. Welcome back to Hump Day Huddle. I'm David Barber, Van Zandt News sports correspondent, joined by T.A. Hale from the Buzz Brothers. The counselor, Joel Elliott, is with us, as well as Engineer Ken. At this time, we're going to turn things over to Engineer Ken because he's ready to do some drawings.
Yes.
So, Engineer Ken, take it away.
So all of you who are watching for this drawing, you're going to do this magically delicious. Hold on.
This is totally on the up and up.
See that?
That's right.
All right. So, here we go. Lisa.
You need a drum roll?
Lisa Likens. Lisa here. Lisa.
We have a winner.
We have a winner.
Come on in, Lisa.
She has won a chicken dinner.
Literally.
Okay, it wasn't a chicken dinner. Now, it was interesting. I got to meet these people a while ago, and guess where they are from?
Where are they from?
California.
All right, welcome. Welcome. You're welcome here.
And so what we have is a very nice mug from Bouquets and Bows with a big I Heart Texas.
All right.
Smile right over there if you don't mind.
Now, may I ask a
Congrats.
question? What part of California?
What part of California?
Orange County.
The original
Los Angeles.
No, not Los Angeles.
Not Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't want to talk about the Rams either. So.
Good call.
We're going to do one more drawing. So I can't see a cheat, right? Emily Driscoll.
All right,
Oh,
Emily,
yes.
come on down.
Come on down, Emily.
You're the next contestant on the Price is Right.
Congratulations.
I'll give you a choice. You can have the Serenity Baseball, a Blue Line paintball, or one of these two plaques. She'll do the baseball.
Good choice.
Okay.
Good choice.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. All right. And now we can turn it back over to the David, the TA, and the counselor.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Ken. Gentlemen, do we want to talk about the Canton Eagles?
Sure.
They
Absolutely.
had a trip to Caddo Mills Friday night, and I don't know if we could say it was a sparkling defensive game by either side the other night, but certainly it's some excitement for sure.
You're exactly right, that David. But defense was tough to come by for both teams, and coaches never acknowledge quote unquote moral victories or that kind of thing. They won't talk about that, but you're trying to measure yourself always. I think at this point in the season, in are you getting better or not? Where are we progressing? And when you play an opponent like the Eagles played in Caddo Mills, you're going to know where you stand at the end of the night. And at the end of the night, the Eagles stood up and fought that team really, really hard. I don't know if that will be the best team that will play all year long, but it could be. They are legit. They're a ranked number 11 in the state, and they're deserving of that ranking. That wasn't just to me, that wasn't some kind of early season inflated ranking or anything like that. They've got kids who can absolutely play. And so let's see how the scoring went. After the first quarter, it was 19-14. Caddo led, and then at halftime, Caddo stretched the lead 36-21. So that's your halftime score. And the Eagles had managed to produce some offense. They'd managed to move the ball, both in the air and on the ground as well. And we'll talk about Chris Cade more later. But after the halftime, the Eagles played them 26-21. They won the second half, basically. And I'll say this, the Caddo Mills Foxes kicked a field goal with probably 2 minutes left, something like that, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
It was inconsequential to stretch the score to 10.
Right.
Otherwise, it was a one-score game with 3 or 4 minutes left. So I was very proud of our boys. I saw a lot of improvement in some key areas, and I'll go over those, Joel. You can chime in. Number one, Jason Brisboe, the Eagles quarterback, the junior quarterback. He took a step forward in my opinion. He looked a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He threw the ball. He made good decisions. He never turned it over. He threw for over 200 yards. He doubled up his previous, longest yardage thrown for, whatever. Brisboe did a great job. He ran the ball better. He ran tough. So a lot of improvement there. In Canton, as a team, they responded to this challenge. You're on the road against a team as good as Caddo Mills. When they get you down 2 scores and you've seen what they've been doing to other teams, you're well aware of it, it wouldn't be hard to kind of get down and think, whoa, we're in trouble here, and maybe pack it in. That did not happen. The Eagles struck back again and again and again and kept this thing competitive. I wanted to mention Nathan Goodson. We call him the Hammer, Nathan the Hammer Goodson, our kicker. And Nathan has become slowly and quietly a really good weapon on special teams. His kickoffs, he's versatile. He can kick it deep. He can place his kickoffs. He never misses an extra point. He's turned into a good punter. And so Nathan Goodson, he's really upped his game this year. Joel, Coach Hubble, he must have these kids buying in, or you wouldn't have seen the type of response that you saw on Friday night.
If I can chime in.
Yeah, please.
The most impressive thing to me about Friday night, and I don't know if this is just a mentality that I've grown up with, but usually the quarter that games turn in is the third quarter. You come back out, you make your adjustments, and Canton made adjustments. And we got down by 2 scores, and they got the ball to start the second half. Our defense came out, and for the first time of the night, shut them down in 3 plays. They shanked a punt for it was either negative yards or it was almost
or 0.
It was David's telling us 5 yards.
5 yards is what I heard.
We couldn't tell.
So one of the shortest punts I've seen in a long time. And the offense, within a handful of plays, puts it in the end zone.
Before you go forward, I want to ask you what you think about this. I made the comment, is that the first time Caddo Mills has been stopped on offense all year long? Think what they've done. Think about the score.
Look at their scores.
That may have been the first time they have been actually held and forced to punt all year long.
It was at least the first time they've been held to punt at a time when the score was
in a meaningful game.
Was meaningful. Yeah, I mean, cause if they got held to 3 and out, or even just for a punt early in the game, and I looking at the punter's punt, I'm not sure he punted before. I mean, he was just as surprised as everybody else.
I didn't think of that. Yeah,
but. Even more than that, the defense stepped up.
You were about to say, though.
Stopped them.
We drove down.
Within a handful of plays, put it in the end zone, put us back within less than 7 points.
Was that the Brisboe score?
That was
ran it in?
I think that was Brisboe.
Tough run by him.
Then, when they got the ball back, we stopped them on first down, got a sack on second down, and got a unsportsmanlike roughing penalty. Quarterback's rear end had just touched the down when our defensive lineman
totally bailed them out
and gave them a first down, and then it got them to move in the chains again. It's like all of a sudden, because we had stopped them and their gears were stuck, and then that penalty gave them a little grease in the gears and got them started back up.
Good point.
But what I was watching at that point, I thought, okay, here we go. If they go down and score, just from my impression of watching Canton over the years, typically in the second half, once they get down by a couple of scores, they just kind of get deflated.
Yep.
It didn't happen. They went down and scored, went back up, and then Canton got the ball, drove it back down and scored. And then we got another turnover from them to put it back to where we were trading that touchdown.
Yes.
So we were putting it back to where we were in less than, like you said, I mean, at the end it was 10, and we were driving, which would have put it back in, into a one-possession game with almost no time left. It's a different mentality, and you've seen the kids in the past, and quite frankly, even in the Mineola game. Once Mineola got ahead by a couple of touchdowns, it just seemed like the air had come out of the sails, and we kind of died down. And that didn't happen on Friday night.
Those
kids
were
still playing at the end.
They don't know that mentality. They were still playing at the very end. You're right. This is a team that not afraid to win from what I can see. And I think this game, the results that they got, whether they say it or not, whether anybody talks about it or not, that's in their mind. They know what they did. They know that they stepped up and fought hard. And you can take that forward. You can build on that. And I feel like it's in sequence here with Maybank coming to town on Friday night. That's a heated rivalry. And you've just come off a good game. It's a loss, and so you're trying to get a win. Maybank just came off a big win over Wills Point, big time. But before we move on to Wills Point or to Maybank, I want to recognize Mr. Chris Cade.
Yes.
He received the honor of being named the UT Health East Texas Sports Medicine Offensive Player of the Week.
Congratulations to him.
Yes, congratulations, much deserved. And this is the third week in a row where he's put up these similar numbers: 196 yards rushing on 23 carries, found the end zone 6 times. He is he's putting up some gaudy yards, and he is a weapon for the Eagles that is tough to contain by the opponent.
Now, is he a senior this year?
He is.
Okay.
He is.
And I'll tell you, anybody who questions whether or not Caddo is good, Cade put up 6 touchdowns, which is relatively unheard of. What was the kid's name that played quarterback?
Townley.
Townley put up 8. 8 touchdowns that kid accounted for. And, it was a great battle between two offensive teams that just wouldn't slow down. And like I said, and it was more than just that one penalty. There were a couple of times, and of course we converted on fourth down, I think once or maybe even twice.
Yeah.
But they got some timely penalties to give them first downs, that kind of stuck us when we were playing defense and doing well. Well, there were several unsportsmanlike conduct where, the kids were they were both sides worked up and adrenaline flowing, and you see kids stepping on each other and look kind of like the way it used to, not the new reserved version of football. Those kids were playing hard Friday night and getting a little mean with each other.
Sometimes when they call penalties on Canton that I don't like, I file a protest.
You got the app for it.
I've got a bunch of protests filed. I'm waiting to hear back from them, but I will file a protest on it. So, Chris Cade, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Stats from this week. Chanston Prox had 3 catches for 103 yards. Prox, sophomore, he stepped up and showed he can be an offensive weapon. He caught the ball, ran hard. He's not afraid to make plays. That was good to see. Jabraylon Pickens, 3 catches for 43 yards. Grant Udisky had a catch for 35 yards, a big catch. John Anderson, 2 catches for 32 yards. Chris Cade had 2 catches for 6 yards. Braden Hawkins, 1 catch for 5 yards. Jason Brisboe, he was 12 of 27 for 224 yards. Some good offensive output there for him. And then Christopher Cade, as we talked about, 23 carries, 198 yards, 6 TDs. And what he's doing, guys, we really couldn't quite have anticipated, and I anticipated a lot. So let's hope he keeps this pace up. And good for Chris Cade, good for the Eagles. Coach Hubble seems to have this thing going in a good direction, and I feel like Friday night is a chance to, at your place, send a message against your rivalry, and I feel like there's a chance for that to happen on Friday night. So,
we have 2 weeks in a row at home now, right? And legitimately should win. We've got a good shot at winning both of those games, and then I think we go to Hillsborough, and Hillsborough's been doing pretty well. So they need to win these next 2 games, so they have the winning record.
You need to win your winnable.
Back on the road.
We got to win your winnable ones,
right?
Yeah. So game time 7:30, Norris Birdwell Stadium. Pregame will be at 7 o'clock. So tune in on the B Facebook page to watch the live stream. We've also got the KWJB YouTube channel, and if you can't do that, tune in to the radio broadcast, KWJB app, or 95.1 FM. And good luck, Canton Eagles, on Friday night.
Well, let's talk about Maybank a little bit and work in Wills Point into the conversation since they played each other last Friday night. So fill us in about Maybank and Wills Point.
I can tell you, before you get to Wills Point, Wills Point, that on the Maybank side of it, Canton has won 7 of those last 10 matchups. So it sounds like Canton has kind of dominated, but Maybank has won 2 of the last 3, and actually they've won the past 2. So it's been a while since Canton has won that matchup there, and so when you look at Maybank's record, they're 2-1. Their wins are over lost to Bullard. They beat Kemp and Wills Point, but those 2 teams are winless.
Right.
Wills Point and Kemp are winless. They're scoring. They've allowed only 23 points a game, but those are against those winless teams.
And I'll tell you, we talked about the transitive property. I'm not sure if we were on or not.
No, we weren't. Tell us.
The first game of the season, Bullard beat Maybank by a few points. I'm not sure. It was 14, 17, something like that.
Yeah, it's 5 points.
5 points.
Yeah.
And Bullard then got beat by Caddo 61-7 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at that and you think, well, the transitive property would get you there and say, well, okay, if that's how bad, Maybank, they lost to Bullard and Bullard got killed by Caddo and we played a good game, maybe we should win. But then when you fast forward and look at the other games that they've played, it just doesn't always match up that way. So,
yeah,
and Maybank beat Wills Point 42-0 last week. called Coach Pointer and left a message, and he and I texted back and forth. And I know he's out there trying to get those kids ready, and we didn't get a chance to talk today. But, they've got another tough game this week against Athens.
Yeah.
On the road again.
On the road again in Athens. And if I remember correct, Athens has not lost.
I think they're 3-0
this year, and
they've run people out.
And they haven't scored. Their lowest scoring game was 42, and that was against Brownsboro. And then they beat Waxahachie Life and Fairfield, both pretty handily. So Wills Point's trying to get it together. They're starting out, new system and everything, and then I think once they get past this week, then they have Paris North Lamar. Is that correct? I believe.
I believe that's correct.
And I think they can have some success against Athens. This will be a learning curve point for them before they get ready to start going into district, and then when they play North Lamar next week, then things should be a little bit easier for them. But
it'll get easier, and boy, they need it.
You're playing a team that hasn't scored less than 42 points in the last 3 games. They're going to have to put some drives together, get their offensive package in. Keep the process of learning going. What was it, a couple of weeks ago against Terrell? They started off strong and then the wheels came off. And I think that's kind of been their situation where they start off strong and then once it starts going, kind of like I talked about Canton earlier, used to before this year when Canton would get behind by a couple of touchdowns, the end score wouldn't show how close the game was early. And from what you see with Wills Point, I think it starts off a lot closer than it ends. But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But it makes you wonder how the COVID-19 environment may have affected the preparation or the installation of that new offensive system versus some of the others. If that's a whole new philosophy and you're trying to get personnel into the right places and it just doesn't quite match up, that can be a tougher transition curve, I guess, than others. If you're just maybe running a typical spread type thing and a lot of the terminology is the same, a lot of the alignments are the same, an easier transition. So this may have been a tougher transition for Coach Pointer. We just don't know.
Well, let me say this about the Athens team that Wills Point is going to be facing. Wills Point better eat their Wheaties before they go to Athens, because the Athens head coach is Zach Harrell, former offensive coordinator at Van.
Mm-hmm.
His brother is Graham Harrell, former Tech quarterback,
right,
who is the offensive coordinator at USC. His dad is Sam Harrell, longtime coach at Ennis.
Right.
And I can tell you that from being around Zach Harrell when he was at Van, they're running that spread offense, and they're running it at breakneck speed. There is not much time that comes off the play clock between plays with him coordinating the offense.
Think about how different that looks. They've been running that wing T offense for a long time. Athens has, So that's a total turnaround.
They are putting up points, but they are also running a lot of plays, and they are wearing down their opponents. So Wills Point's got a tremendous challenge Friday night in Athens.
Sounds like Coach Harrell has them going over there.
Yeah.
But I do hope Coach Pointer can get things on track, and I'm sure he will at some point.
All right, guys, let's go into another break and talk about some more of our sponsors. And we want to say thank you very much to Canton Guns and Ammo, located 1190 Trade Days Boulevard in Canton, 903-502-5023. We're also brought to you by Hall Chevrolet Buick GMC in Canton, 903-567-4106. We're brought to you by Dean Kubota, Wills Point, 903-873-2451, 972-552-3151. We're also brought to you by City Barbershop, 101 North 4th Street in Wills Point, 903-873-2977. We're brought to you by Southern Serenity Day Spa, 11020 North Commerce Street, Wills Point, 903-873-7133. And we're brought to you by Stone Age, Dennis Chitty, 972-567-5224. His location is in Garland, Texas. Residential and commercial, sales, fabrication, installation, granite, quartz, and marble. Engineer Ken, are we ready to do another drawing at this time? We've got 2 more teams to discuss.
Let's go ahead and hit our Friday night high school.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And thank you to the Silver Spur Resort for hosting us here on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock. That's right. The Q and Brew Restaurant, Silver Spur, featuring a wedding venue, KOA campground, Q and Brew Restaurant, escape room, and more. The Silver Spur Resort is located on 35 acres, just minutes from First Monday trade days. Durham's Roost, the resort's bed and breakfast, is now open from Thursday through Monday to host vendors and guests of the trade days. Wills Point Ford and Wills Point Chevrolet, the only locally owned car dealership servicing Van Zandt County and beyond for over 30 years. Whether you're looking for a Ford or a Chevy, Wills Point Ford and Wills Point Chevrolet invite you to do business with their family. First State Bank Ben Wheeler, a true Texas community bank, owned and operated since 1911. Their mission is to always provide superior service because this is home, and home is where we strive to make a difference. Brookshire's. For quality, convenience, and service, visit your local Brookshire's. Low-price produce, hand-cut meat, and easy meal solutions. Check out their online shopping, curbside pickup, and drive-through prescription services. These are just some of the great services they offer customers every day. And finally, all-around AC heating and refrigeration. Family-owned with a satisfaction guarantee and flat-rate pricing. All-Around AC has a reputation for integrity unmatched in East Texas. allaroundac.com. And now it is time for our next drawing.
And have we mentioned Holly is in the building?
Hey, Holly.
Good to see you.
Holly's going to do the drawing, so you'll know it's up and on the up and up now. Now.
In other words, Holly is here to help Engineer Ken.
Just to help him. Help him.
And Holly is our salesperson for KWJB. So
That's right. So for your advertising.
the one you want to see. That's Holly at KWJB.
That's right.
But I'm just putting that out there.
That's right. Free information.
But you have another drawing.
We do. We're going to have 2 drawings. Ready? Who we got?
Taylor Durham. Come on down.
Taylor. Come on, Taylor. Here comes Taylor Claus. Here comes Taylor Claus.
Congrats, Taylor. Woohoo!
These are the items that we have. We have another Suzuki baseball. We have Blue Line paintball over at Finley where you can get 25% off an event or the 50% off an event. And then we have these 2 beautiful plaques by Bouquet and Boats over in Van. Like that. Where do you live?
I live in Kansas.
Okay, so you don't want the Vandals one, right?
Put that thing down.
Okay.
Well, now, wait a minute. It kind of looks good.
The baseball.
Good choice. Congrats, Taylor.
All right, here we go. Holly's going to draw again. So everybody chant Holly with us.
Holly, 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 Holly.
Holly.
R. Pelton. R. Pelton.
Must be present to win.
Pelton. Colin Pelton.
Bueller.
All right. We're going to draw again.
Bueller.
Marty. Is there a Marty? Good. Stay left. Thanks for watching out, buddy.
Yep, their loss.
Hey, draw again. What do we got?
Andrea Ellis.
Andrea Ellis. Is Andrea here? Andrea. Andreas? Andrelicus? I missed it.
All right, on to the next one.
All right. Let's see.
Brenly Slayton.
Brinley.
All right.
Come on down.
All right, where do you live? In Grants Lake? There's not a plaque for Grants Lake.
There should be.
You want to come on?
I'm going to go home and make
Take
one.
care of that, counselor.
Paintball. Now, there's
We'll call the ag department over there.
go. Yeah.
and I have a note that I want you to.
In fact, if anybody from Grand Sling's listening, help me make that happen.
It's a great little fundraiser opportunity.
That's right.
here.
And then look right over here at the camera for us. Come on, Holly, Holly. Holly, Holly, oxen.
Oh, I'm smiling as you can see.
I like it. I like it. All right. Thank you.
Congrats.
All right. Having said that, we have one more drawing to do that we'll do at the end. So in the meantime, let's turn it back over to the Buzzard brothers.
Okay.
David I mean to the guys.
Some people.
Yeah, some people.
Those guys.
I'm David Barber, Van Zandt News sports correspondent, joined by T.A. Hale from the Buzz Brothers and the counselor Joel Elliott, talking Van Zandt County football tonight. We are at the Q & Brew at the Silver Spur Resort in Canton, and we're here every Tuesday night from 6 to 7. If you miss the live taping, the show is re-aired every Wednesday at noon and 5 p.m. on the B.
And I believe you can watch it streaming on Facebook Live.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Anytime.
on demand.
Day or night.
On demand.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll meet
Free.
you at 2 in the morning.
That's right.
We won't even have to wake up.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the Van Vandals.
I can't wait to hear this.
Well, what a night over at Lindale. Two great rivals getting together, and they did not disappoint so far as supplying a lot of entertaining action. In the first half, the Vandals got down early, and they were down 20 points at halftime, 27-7. And I don't know what Coach Moffitt said at halftime, but that was a whole different team that came out and started the third quarter. And the next thing you knew, by the end of the third quarter, it was 33-28 Lindale and Van driving.
I didn't know when that happened. I saw the score when it was lopsided, and I never went back to it until I saw the very end.
With all that scoring in the first three quarters, neither team scored in the fourth quarter. It was 33-28 at the end of the third quarter, and that was the final score in the game.
Wait, how much did Van have at halftime?
Van was down 27-7 at halftime.
So they put up 3 touchdowns in the third quarter.
They outscored Lindale 21-6 in the third quarter.
Any non-offensive touchdowns?
No, 3 long touchdown drives.
Wow.
And very impressive drives. Let's talk first of all about the performance of quarterback Jackson Rainey. The junior quarterback for the Vandals. He had in some points in the game a very memorable night. Other points in the game, kind of a forgettable night. I believe Clark Kellogg, one of the college basketball announcers, uses the term stat sheet stuffer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is what Jackson Rainey did the other night. He had 204 yards passing. He had 150 yards rushing.
Whoa.
But he also had 3 interceptions.
Oh, wow.
And that all came in the second quarter. He would love to replay the second quarter. That was really tough on him.
That might change the score a bit if that had happened.
It was 20-7 in the last minute of play in the first half. Van is driving. They get to about midfield, throws a pick 6. So that makes it 27-7 at halftime. But I tell you, to give that young man credit, after throwing 3 interceptions in the second quarter, he came back out the third and fourth quarter and played extremely well.
Did Van force turnovers?
No, the turnover ratio was very much in favor of Lindale. Lindale had no turnovers Friday night. Van had 4.
Oh, man.
And that's the difference in the game right there. It is amazing that Van was -4 in the turnover ratio and still had chances to win in the fourth quarter.
And when one of those turnovers is a pick 6,
Yes,
it's you're almost 0% chance winning, and they had that within a touchdown.
they really did. Van finished the game with 522 yards of total offense.
Oh, my.
And talk about balance, 259 yards rushing, 263 yards passing. They had more first downs, 22-17 over Lindale. More total yards, 522 to 306. They held Lindale's highly heralded running back, Jordan Jenkins, to 71 yards rushing on 19 carries.
Now that's keeping him in check.
I think if you had told Coach Moffitt going into the game they would hold Jordan Jenkins to 71 yards rushing and accumulate over 500 yards offense,
He'd have said whooping.
He said
we win by 3
we
touchdowns.
win the game, but you can't overlook the 4 turnovers. They were really tough the other night.
And last week, that was the Malakoff week?
Yes.
No turnovers.
No turnovers, no penalties against Malakoff, and they lost by 30 in that game.
That's just
So
how
go
strong
figure.
Malakoff is.
Yeah, that's right.
They went and
Malakoff
played-
is very good.
They went and played Trinity Christian this week.
Played
and
Dion's team.
played them pretty tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But going back to this game, let's talk about the performance of Javante Thomas, the slot receiver for Van. Guys, we've all watched a bunch of high school football, and we can probably say on probably the number of times on one hand for each of us, the number of times that we've seen a man throw a touchdown pass, catch a touchdown pass, and run a touchdown in the same game. Not only did Javonte Thomas do it against Lindale Friday night, this is twice he's done it in 3 weeks.
Some kind of record there.
So he finished the other night with just some incredible numbers. He had, if I can find my notes here real quick, can't find my notes right now, but anyway, I can tell you that he had 81 yards rushing on 10 carries and a touchdown. He threw a 55-yard touchdown pass to Luka Kochev.
Now, was that lined up in the shotgun, or did he?
No, he took a handoff.
Okay.
And it was the halfback pass that he threw.
Okay.
And then he caught 3 passes for 40 yards and a touchdown.
Well,
so
goodness.
I mean, he had a tremendous night, and the man is playing outstanding football. And he's got a chance, if he can stay healthy for the entire season, to put up some potential school record-breaking numbers offensively.
So Jackson Rainey, he's throwing the ball well. He's coming into his own.
He played his best half of football in the second half Friday night.
So who's catching the ball over there? Is it other than
Javonte? Yes, and the other night he had some help on the receiving end. I mentioned Luka Kochev, and I know I'm butchering his last name, but he had 4 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Austin Gregory, another receiver that came back for his senior year, did not play last year, came back for his senior year. He caught 3 passes for 93 yards.
Nice addition there.
And Braden Bradshaw had 5 receptions, 42 yards. So the passing game was very efficient the other night, with the exception of the 3 interceptions.
Boy, if you take that shows you the power of the turnover right there.
It really
is. It has on you give them extra possessions, and it's just hard to overcome that, especially when one of them's a score.
I was going to say the pick 6 was a killer before halftime.
Yeah, you can't give them that at their place, especially and hope to overcome it.
That's right. But great effort by the team in the second half, and Coach Moffitt acknowledged that at the end of the game. But he also sent another message to his team. We've been talking all season since day one about how young Van is. 16 new starters on the field, 3 returning starters on offense, 3 returning starters on defense. Well, Coach Moffitt told his team at the end of the game Friday night, he said, guys, we have now played 3 football games. We played 12 quarters of football. You are no longer young. You are no longer inexperienced. You are now a bunch of football players on a football team playing to win each and every Friday night.
He's just squashing that idea of any kind of excuse mentality.
And he squashed that yesterday in my interview with him on the phone. I started making a comment about youth and inexperience, and boy, he shut me down on that right quick. He said, we're not here to talk about being young and inexperienced anymore from this point forward. So now, moving on, Pittsburgh comes to town Friday night. And you talk about a team that's had an eventful season so far. I don't know if anyone's had a more eventful season than Pittsburgh has. Pittsburgh started out the season first game at Jefferson. Before they made the trip, their starting running back, he had a family member in his home test positive for coronavirus. The decision was made for him to isolate from the team for 2 weeks. Well, he came back the second week and played against Mount Vernon, suffered a broken wrist in the first half.
My.
So now he's out for several weeks because of a broken wrist. In that same game with Mount Vernon, they get to halftime, and Pittsburgh is trailing at halftime to Mount Vernon. Lightning appears at the stadium. They never started the second half. So Mount Vernon was given the victory because they were ahead at halftime. Then they were scheduled to play Tatum last week. Tatum has 12 players come down positive or test positive for coronavirus. They had to cancel a game last week. So Pittsburgh did not play a game last week. So out of a possible 3 football games in 12 quarters, Pittsburgh has played 6 quarters and 1.5 games. We were talking before we came on the air that Pittsburgh's record, instead of it being 0-2, should really be 0-1.5.
So we barely know anything about Pittsburgh.
And that's exactly what Coach Moffitt pointed out to me Monday in our telephone conversation. He said, I asked him, I said, do you have a competitive advantage because you played 3 games and they played a game and a half? And he said, well, you could make that argument, but you could make the argument the other way that they're fresh. They don't have any bumps and bruises.
And they've got film.
Yeah.
And so, not sure what we're going to see Friday night. I can tell you this. Pittsburgh and Van, the last 2 years, very competitive, close games. 2 years ago in Pittsburgh, it was 21-20 in favor of Van. Pittsburgh missed an extra point with 2 minutes to go in the game. Last year's game in Van, the first and only start Jackson Rainey had last year in the as he filled in for Jaden Moffitt, who had an injury. Final score was 7-0, Van. Pittsburgh has played great defense in the past. Coach Moffitt says they're great this year. Their nose guard, 2 linebackers, all 3 of those players are juniors, and he said they are legit.
They
very,
always have
very
athletes.
good players.
That's their MO. They've always got athletes
and great team speed. So,
but they won't have their starting running back.
They won't have their starting running back, but quarterback is pretty good runner himself. They're a run-first team. They're going to be shotgun formation every play, but they are a run-first football team on offense. But that defense is what really carries them. They're very, very solid on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, this will be another tough test then for the Vandals.
And after 2 tough weeks on the road, the Vandals, I know, are glad to be back in the friendly confines of Van Memorial Stadium.
I know that's right.
This Friday night, 7:30 kickoff. Should be a good one. Van and Pittsburgh.
And hopefully, I hope that we will get more than 1 win from our Van Zandt County teams. We got to get this turned around here.
Well,
we've had one win every week.
Well, we hadn't had a chance to talk about the Grand Saline Indians yet, so let's do that now. A tough night for them over at Rains, but everybody's been having a tough night against Rains here at the start of the season. What an impressive team Rains is. Joel, you got some info you want to share with us about Grand Saline?
I do, but I'm going to start with saying I just received a text. Said don't forget that there was also an interception thrown in the end zone when they were on the 1 yard line, and it was returned 70 yards. So
that is very true.
So that's instead of 7 points, that's a 14-point turnaround.
Oh, okay.
That's a good point from my fellow Fruitville educated buddy over there.
That is very true.
We're smarter than we get credit for.
That one wasn't a pick six. It could have been a pick six, but it was a big play nevertheless. And I will say this, Van didn't have any problem moving the ball all night.
And there is one other athlete in high school that did throw, catch, and run for a touchdown. His name was Al Bundy.
Can't forget him. That's right.
Anybody who's younger than me may not remember that.
I don't know if David got that. I got that.
Okay.
Yes, we'll discuss that later.
All right, Grand Saline. Talked to Coach Drennan, and he said what everybody's been saying all year. Rains is legit. He said the offense is going to score. It doesn't matter. They moved down from, I guess it was 4A small division. Now they're 3A large division, and they're a lot more comfortable. They're a lot better than in that division than they obviously would have been in our division, Canton's division.
Yeah.
But he said they're legit. They're going to put up points on just about anybody they play. He said the defense he said you wouldn't tell it by the score. He said the defense wasn't as good as they had expected it to be, but it's still good.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to put things together. And I asked him about this week. Last week they only were able to put 2 games ago, they were only able to put 19 kids on the field because of injuries. And he said they have, and I didn't bring my notes, I think he said they have 25 kids that are on the team, but only 19 have suited out. And he got one back and lost one. He said, the I guess strep throat has been kind of a thorn in their side over there, and some of the kids have had that. And that's one of those things that just kind of it's kind of like a athlete's foot. It spreads around the locker room. If one kid gets it, everybody gets it.
Right.
But he said they had another kid who was injured before the season. I think there was a transmission or something that blew up on him. Not football related or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they just kind of had some unfortunate circumstances that have dwindled their numbers down. And of course, just like you said, nobody. You said Coach Moffitt told them, we're not gonna live with those excuses. They've been playing freshmen since the start of the year. One of them starting on the line, offensive line. And he said, again, obviously, the other team doesn't line up and say, okay, we're going to take it easy on this side because they got freshmen. The teams show up. They don't worry about, any of the inexperience like you were talking about with Van. Grand Salene's had the same things. Now, earlier in the season, Maypearl and Grand Saline agreed to not play this Friday night, so they would leave an open spot if they needed to fill it in or somehow with the districts. Then when they changed their minds, Maypearl had already scored or had already scheduled another game. I can't remember who they've scheduled, but Grand Saline is off this week. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's kind of fortunate. And Coach Drennan said, they can use the time to heal up. They've got kids that are kind of in and out and get their bearings about them. And then they come back next week, and I think they start district next week. So hopefully Grand Saline will get it turned around, and hopefully they can use this week off to get their legs back under them, get refreshed and ready to go. And I think maybe the hot weather on Friday nights has kind of subsided. Maybe we'll not have the 90-plus degrees at the starts of the game.
Grand Saline will host Winona to open district next week. This is September 25th.
This is not the start that Coach Drennan anticipated. I'm sure it's not, but this will pay off. The playing of the younger kids. He's got kids that are getting pressed into duty that would not have otherwise. So these freshmen that are starting now, that's going to pay off down the road for him.
And this is the third year that Melton started at quarterback, and he's going to have to bring those kids up with him. Last year Grand Saline graduated a lot of kids. Their offensive line. They pretty much all of them left.
Yeah.
They've got they say they've got a good quarterback that can throw the ball, but he's got to have a couple of seconds. Not that the young kids aren't good. It's just that they're young and inexperienced. Of course, you don't, like you said, you don't talk about that. No,
right.
The other team doesn't care, but they got to get some experience under them and maybe through the district now that they're kind of not play teams like Rains, who were a full classification, not just a division above them last year.
And are just stacked this year.
So maybe they'll get a chance to start up district and play some teams that are more comparable to their size and skill set right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Jace Melton, he is a good quarterback, and I'm glad he's got another year left.
Yeah.
He showed a lot of promise last year, and this is a rough spot, I'm sure, for him, but you said it. He's got to pull these other kids up. He can't get frustrated and let people quit.
Well, the hardest working man in the restaurant right now is Engineer Ken. He makes sure that we sound good each and every week, and then he also does these fantastic door prize drawings. Now, he's got help from Holly, as we know, but right now, Engineer Ken is ready to do some more drawings.
Yes. Are we ready for some more drawings?
Oh, yes.
Holly Option 3 is drawing for us.
Drum roll. We saved the best for last. The best prizes still available.
Rob Driscoll. Now, I know he's here.
It was only a matter of time.
I knew he would take it. That's right. Hold that proudly,
there
sir.
You go. Congrats.
It looks good with his red shirt.
Yeah.
That's Rob from over there at the
Van Zant Feed and Seed. Farm and Ranch. Van Zant Farm and Ranch.
Farm and Ranch.
I'm going to talk about them in a minute, by the way.
Gotcha. What else we got? Sylvia Beasley.
No, must be present to win.
A confession.
These people are leaving too early.
Yeah.
Gonna hang around.
That's just it.
Can't be a quitter.
I'll tell you. Sylvia leaves. Well, see, the interesting thing about that is this. When I'm at the Q in Bruton, I usually eat so much that I don't think I can sit around for an hour either.
They want you to leave.
That's probably more information than we really needed to know.
What? Really? Missy. Is there a Missy Smith in the house? Goodness.
Are those real names?
I think somebody made those names up.
Kelsey Friday. She's here.
All right. Come on down.
All right, you have your choice. You can have the blue line paintball or the bouquet and bows flat. 25% off this blue line paintball over in Mineola. You will have a great time, but you can't go online and do it. You need to give them a call in order to have this discount live. Sound like fun?
You're gonna love it.
Thank you.
All right, one more.
One more draw.
Black.
Wyatt Ellis.
Wyatt? Is there a Wyatt Ellis in the house? Wyatt. All right, they may have left early. Let's see. Here we go.
Joanne Henson.
Joanne Henson
Joanne.
from Bouquet and Bows in Van says, football season, say goodbye to the wife and kids.
That's what I need at my house.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Hey, thanks for playing. Come back next week and be sure to sign up because you never know what we're going to have here, all right?
If you're interested, I've got some information that I will share here, guys.
Okay.
I've got some predictions on this week's games within the county, and this is a non-gambling handicapping site that I subscribe to. They've actually got some predictions on the high school games. Okay, so not my predictions.
Okay.
This is Pigskin Prep.
All right.
Canton versus Maybank. Maybank favored in that one, 16-15, even though it's at Canton. So I think that could be a sucker line right there. Okay, don't fall for that.
It's a trap.
That's a trap. Don't fall for that. Edgewood, that's the Lone Oak Buffaloes coming to town. Edgewood favored 22-3
They're going to beat that single tree.
on homecoming at their place. So 22-3. Wills Point at Athens. The Hornets are picked 43-3 over the Tigers. Grand Saline versus Open. There's no line on that game. Anybody else get that?
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Van against Pittsburgh. Van 22-3 over the Pittsburgh. What the Pittsburgh
Pirates.
Pirates, that's
okay,
right.
that's what I thought. And then I did not get a line on Fruitvale. But
Okay.
anyway, for what that's worth, those are your predictions for the Van Zant County High School.
We'll bring those
Teams.
back next week. Let's see.
We'll check those
how
next
it goes.
week. We'll check those.
We got one more round of sponsors we need to recognize, so we want to say thank you very much to City National Bank, locations in Wills Point, Grand Saline, and Canton. Wills Point, 903-873-4157. Grand Saline, 903-962-7588. Canton, 903-567-9100. We're brought to you by Ramsey's Roadhouse, Angus Burgers, Steaks, Specialty Hot Wings, 903-560-8214, located at 505 North 4th Street in Wills Point. We're brought to you by Spitzer Home Cleaning Services, Jessica Spitzer, 903-275-6694. We're brought to you by Robertson Electric, commercial and residential air conditioning and heating service, free estimates. Locations in Wills Point and Terrell. Wills Point is 903-873-2461, and Terrell is 972-563-5254. We're brought to you by Express Tire and Wheels. New and used tires, custom wheels, flat repairs, 903-873-8856, located at 732 Houston Street in Wills Point. We're brought to you by the Rick John State Farm Insurance Agency at 100 North 4th Street in Wills Point, 903-873-2858, Auto, Home, Life, and Health. And we're brought to you by Van Zant Farm and Ranch, 118 East Main Street in Van, 903-963-3651. They have feed for horses, dogs, cattle, chicken, wild birds, pig, fish. They also have gardening items. They have seeds and fertilizers, organic feeds available. And we're brought to you by Austin Bank, member FDIC, with locations in Van and Grants Lean. I'm David Barber, Van Zant News sports correspondent, joined by T.A. Hale of the Buzz Brothers, the counselor Joel Elliott, engineer Ken. Holly is with us tonight. And guys, it's time to wrap it up, but let's go over quickly our schedule for this Friday night. Pittsburgh comes to Van. Grants Lean is open. Wills Point goes to Athens. And Edgewood, homecoming against Lone Oak. And then the Canton Eagles are home against one of their big rivals, the Battle of Highway 198, as the Eagles host the Maybank Panthers. So fill us in again on your broadcast schedule this Friday night.
I've got this one picked as my matchup of the week. The Maybank Panthers coming to the Canton Eagles. Pre-game, 7 o'clock, kickoff 7:30. Listen to it on the KWJB app, live stream on the KWJB Facebook page, or on KWJB's YouTube channel. Tune in.
All right. Do we have any further business before we depart for this week?
I hereby call this meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Junior finally showed up.
Junior did show up
With
finally.
the gavel.
At the end with the gavel. All right. Once again, for Holly, for engineer Ken, counselor Joel Elliott, T.A. Hale from the Buzz Brothers, and again, T.A., welcome home.
Good to be
Glad
here.
have you back.
Good to be here.
Yes, sir.
I'm David Barber. We thank you very much for joining us, and as always, we want to end by saying you have been listening